The sound of metal tearing into metal shattered the morning fog. Hailey Bennett slammed on her brakes. Her old Honda skidded slightly on the slick asphalt, but she managed to stop just in time. Heart pounding, she looked ahead. A black Mercedes had crashed into the guardrail on the curve ahead, its front end crumpled like paper. Steam hissed from the hood. One headlight flickered. The car was still. She didn't think, she moved. Throwing her car into park, Hailey yanked the door open and sprinted across the shoulder. The rain was light, but cold. It soaked through her scrubs in seconds. The few early morning drivers behind her slowed, unsure whether to help. None stopped. She reached the driver's side. The airbag had deployed. Behind it, a man, older, unconscious or barely conscious, blood on his forehead, chest rising in short, shallow breaths. "Sir," she called, knocking on the fogged-up window. No response. Instinct took over. Hailey tried the door. Locked. She banged the window with her elbow until the man stirred, dazed. She mouthed, "Unlock," and pointed. His hand moved sluggishly. The door clicked. She pulled it open and crouched beside him. "Can you hear me? My name's Hailey. You were in an accident. Help is on the way." He blinked, eyes unfocused. The dashboard was crushed inward. His legs seemed pinned. She checked his pulse, fast but present. No sign of spinal trauma, but he was pale. The car interior smelled like airbag powder and leaking fluid. She had to move fast. Hailey unzipped her hoodie, placed it gently behind his head, then took his phone from the cup holder and called 911. Car crash on Lakeview Curve, one occupant, male, likely in his 60s or 70s. Conscious but injured. Immediate medical attention needed. She hung up and leaned in again. "I need to keep you awake, okay? What's your name?" He barely whispered, "Thomas." "Okay, Thomas. You're going to be all right. Just stay with me." She grabbed a pen from her bag and scribbled her name and number on a receipt. She folded it and placed it carefully in his coat pocket. The sirens arrived minutes later, but it felt like hours. Paramedics rushed in, cutting the seatbelt, stabilizing the man. One of them looked at Hailey. "You a nurse?" "Not yet," she said. "But I'm trying." Back in her car, soaked and shivering, she took a breath. Her shift was already starting, and she was 20 minutes away, in the wrong direction. But she didn't regret a second. Even if no one ever called her. Even if he didn't remember her name. She'd done what she could. That was enough. She started her engine. The wipers dragged across the windshield like a slow heartbeat. In the rearview mirror, the ambulance pulled away, lights flashing against the wet morning sky. That evening, Hailey sat on the edge of her twin mattress in her small apartment over the garage. Her phone was silent. Her inbox full. Mostly payment reminders for student loans. Her uniform for tomorrow was still damp from the rain. She glanced at the clock, 11:48 p.m. No call. No message. She didn't expect one. But part of her hoped. Not for recognition. Not for reward. Just for a sign that maybe, in a world that didn't always see the quiet helpers, someone had noticed. The envelope didn't come with fanfare. It was simply there, resting awkwardly among the usual stack of discount pizza flyers and late bill notices. Hailey noticed it the moment she opened her mailbox. Thick, cream-colored. Heavy. No return address, just her name written in elegant cursive, Miss Hailey Bennett. She turned it over. Gold foil embossed on the flap, A. Holdings. She blinked. She'd never heard of it. Inside was a single piece of card stock, no branding, no instructions, just an address, a date, and a time. Saturday. 3 p.m. Lakeshore Drive, number 217. No signature. No explanation. She almost tossed it. Almost. But curiosity, and something deeper, intuition, told her not to. Saturday came faster than expected. She stood outside the gate, nervously clutching her worn purse. Beyond the tall iron fence stretched a long cobblestone driveway lined with maple trees and perfectly trimmed hedges. At the end stood a house. No, a manor. Glass, stone, and modern lines, resting quietly against the lake. It was the kind of place she'd only seen in architecture magazines at the dentist's office. "Are you here for the 3 o'clock?" a soft voice asked. A man in a dark suit stood beside a sleek black gate control panel. Hailey nodded slowly. "I think so." "Name?" "Hailey Bennett." He smiled faintly. Pressed a button. The gate opened. She was led inside with quiet precision, no fanfare, no small talk. Just the muffled sound of her own footsteps against marble floors. Everything gleamed, polished wood, modern artwork, fresh-cut orchids. She felt like a paper cup in a crystal cabinet. The man led her to a sunlit sitting room overlooking the lake. A tray with tea and lemon scones waited on a glass table. A leather-bound book lay open next to it. She stood, unsure. Then, footsteps. She turned. It was him. The man from the accident. Except now, he stood straighter. No cuts, no blood. A scar above his right eyebrow, but otherwise whole. His silver hair was brushed neatly, and a dark gray sweater softened the sharpness of his frame. He gave a slow, sincere smile. "Miss Bennett. You came." She swallowed hard. "You remember me." "How could I not?" he said, motioning toward the sofa. "Please, sit." She did. He lowered himself opposite her with careful grace, leaning slightly on a cane. "You saved my life. No one else stopped. But you did. You gave me your jacket. You stayed. You called for help. And you left this." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the crumpled receipt with her name and number, now neatly pressed inside a clear sleeve. "Most people would have walked away," he continued. "You didn't." Hailey shook her head. "I'm not most people. I'm a nurse." "Almost. I guess it's just what I do." He looked at her closely. "Do you know who I am?" She paused. "Thomas, something." He chuckled. "Thomas Alcott." The name didn't register, until he added, "Alcott Holdings. Healthcare innovation. Real estate. Technology. Philanthropy." Her mouth parted. "You're that Alcott?" "Yes. And now, you're the first person in years who treated me like a human being before a name." He stood and walked to a nearby cabinet. Opened it. Pulled out a slim, leather folder. "This," he said, handing it to her, "is what I've been building. A new branch of my foundation. It's focused on caregiver support, affordable community health, and leadership training for young medical professionals." She opened it slowly. Inside, a letter. And a check. 6 figures. Her heart nearly stopped. What is this? A grant. To erase your debt. To pay for your licensing. To give you breathing room to become who you're already trying to be. I can't accept this. Yes, you can, he said calmly. Because it's not a gift. It's recognition. It's investment. It's what people like me are supposed to do when someone like you steps in without being asked. She stared at him, stunned. And if you'd like, he added, there's more. A position. In my foundation. I want someone like you involved in shaping this from the inside. She blinked, speechless. No expectations, he said. No pressure. But you should know, I don't believe in accidents. Only intersections. As Hailey left the house an hour later, her mind swirled with disbelief. The sun was setting over the lake, turning the water gold. She still didn't understand why the universe had pointed her down that highway, or why she, out of all people, had been given this strange, extraordinary moment. But for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel stuck. She felt, seen. And just maybe, chosen. 3 months later, Hailey Bennett walked into the same hospital where she'd once rushed through double doors 15 minutes late, always apologizing, always out of breath. But today, people stood when she entered. Her name was on the badge around her neck, but now it came with a title. Hailey Bennett, Program Director, Alcott Foundation Health Initiative. It still didn't feel real. The suit she wore wasn't new, but it was hers. The confidence in her stride was new. Earned. Grown. She stepped into the conference room where hospital administrators were waiting. She was there not as a nurse, but as a partner, presenting a pilot program for affordable home care, funded by the very foundation she now helped build. The same foundation Thomas Alcott had created. The same man she'd found bleeding in a wrecked car 3 months ago. Later that day, she visited him. Thomas sat in a wheelchair near the window of his lakefront home, blanket over his knees, a book resting open on his lap. He looked older now, slower, more fragile, but not weaker. Is it true? He asked as she approached. They're moving forward with the pilot. 3 hospitals already signed on, she smiled. 2 more are calling next week. He chuckled. You work fast. I had good motivation. They sat quietly for a while, the lake glimmering outside. Then Thomas spoke again, softer this time. You know I don't have children, Hailey. Never did. I always thought my legacy would be numbers in a ledger. A name on a plaque. He turned to her. But the day you pulled me out of that car, everything shifted. You reminded me that legacy isn't built in boardrooms. It's built in moments. Hailey looked down. Words caught in her throat. That's why, he continued, pulling out a sealed envelope from the table drawer, I'm naming you as the director of all domestic health programs for the foundation. And, something else. She opened the envelope slowly. Inside, papers. Deeds. And a name, hers, listed as the future owner of a newly established rehabilitation center in her hometown. The Hailey Bennett Community Health and Recovery Center. Her hands shook. Thomas, this is too much. It's not enough, he said, voice thin but steady. Because it's not charity. It's continuity. You gave me back a reason to invest in people again. You reminded me that real change begins with compassion. Quiet, immediate compassion. That evening, Hailey walked the halls of the new building, still under construction, scaffolding in place, rooms being painted. A young nurse passed by with blueprints in hand. "You the one this place is named after?" she asked, half joking. Hailey smiled. "I guess so." In one of the future patient rooms, she stood by the window and took out the old receipt, the one she had once left in Thomas's jacket, now laminated and tucked in her notebook. A folded moment. A reminder. One morning. One decision. One act. That's all it had taken to rewrite 2 lives.
Thank you for listening to this story. If it moved you a bit, leave something, write a comment, like the video. It helps us grow the channel and create more stories. See you in the next story from Stories for Each Day.